Okay, this is Dale Ross. We're here at Charlotte Catholic High School in the weight room with
Mike Hazel, strength coach at Charlotte Catholic High School.
and Coach Hazel. You graduated from Charlotte Catholic '05, played football here. Anything you'd like to say about that?
Sure. I was actually fortunate to attend Charlotte Catholic, as you said. Some of the best times of playing football and lacrosse and all other sports, and I'm extremely fortunate to be given back to the school and the coaching role now to the school that gave back so much to me growing up and developed me almost on my career path to where I am today. So very fortunate to be back here and really enjoying my time here working with these athletes.
Before I get into what you're doing here, when you left Charlotte Catholic, you went to ECU?
I did. Went to East Carolina, was a walk-on athlete there for 2 years and, with football. Actually, after 2 years of football, played lacrosse. So continued my education with East Carolina, and then further after East Carolina, got my master's degree, all in exercise science from California University at Pennsylvania.
Okay, and so that kind of brings us to what you're doing here. You've been here 1 year doing
Sure.
this?
Yep. Coming up on my 1 year anniversary. Started back August 2016. Great. Really fortunate to be working with a program that understands the importance of what is done in the weight room and the off season and the in season and all that. So very, very fortunate to really get my hands on these athletes and mold them into what they're going to be in the future and what they are today. So like I said, it's very fortunate to be coming up on my 1 year anniversary and have the support from the faculty and the students. Everyone's buying into what we're doing here, and it's great to see the things that are changing and where the program's going.
So we started this wanting to let people have an understanding of what kids have to go through, what their children are doing in both in season and then off season. Development is very important, and so I'd like to get your thoughts on what the importance is to an athlete, to football, to any sport that may be coming through here.
Absolutely. As you said, there's so much that goes into what we do here. It's not just working with getting the athletes stronger or getting them bigger. There's so much more kind of a new school mentality nowadays to what I kind of coined as a term, the 5 pillars of athletic development. The number one being the most important, being injury prevention. So much of what we do in the weight room and in the off season and during the season really focuses on working on keeping the athletes healthy, minimizing those risks of injuries, making them play a full season. If the program's fortunate, they'll play 16 games in a season for football. That's a long season. That's extremely hard on the body. So a lot of what we do in here is work on correcting those imbalances or things like that to make sure they can play that full season and minimize that risk of injury. Another thing we do, speed, agility, quickness. The saying, speed kills, it's so true. I'm a firm believer in strength speed, so a lot of the motions we do in here are quick, explosive motions. Third pillar would be focusing on that functional strength of the sport they play. As you said, I don't limit the weight room just to football. Depending on what sport they play, I will gear the program towards them, but all athletes need to be powerful, strong and powerful, so that functional strength is huge. The fourth pillar would be that mental development. Being an athlete, it requires a certain amount of mental strength, and you need to have that mental strength to go through a full season. It's hard on the body, it's just as hard on the mind going through a full day of school and practice and games and all that. The last thing, which is huge, is team development. A lot of programs, you develop those bonds with your players when you start playing in that season. I feel we develop our bond here in the off season, and it continues on through the season, so they have that player to lean on, that shoulder to lean on, to pick them up when they're down, when they're not feeling like practicing that day. They have that team commitment, that team bond with each other. So those are kind of the 5 pillars of athletic development that I believe are huge to make what I call complete athletes. That's what we instill with our athletes here. So again, it's just not that old school mentality of just being in here and lifting as much weight as you possibly can for 1 rep. That's great, but that's not really functional to being an athlete. So we're hitting on those 5 pillars. I feel we've developed some quality athletes. And like you said, it's not just for football. Worked with almost all sports teams here, and all those teams are starting to see those benefits. And that's just making me extremely satisfied. And again, that I have that commitment from the faculty. They believe in what we're doing here. So I'm fortunate to have that.
I was just sitting here thinking as you were going through everything about when you played here, and just your thoughts on what development, from what I can see, there's more focus now. And it's not just here in a lot of schools about developing athletes physically. And compared to, you guys did pretty well.
Right.
Without having this kind of development, though.
Right.
What kind of impact do you think this will have in translation out onto the field?
So translation out on the field, it's going to be huge. I feel the players are starting to feel it now when we condition them. They're starting to be more athletic. They're more aware of their body in space. And a lot of what we do in here will relate to that. And I was fortunate we did have a strength program when I played, not to the level that it is now. And that's just a test to the industry. The industry is getting more and more competitive. Parents and athletes are wanting to be the best versions of themselves at a younger age. And it's just so huge to have a proper program in place. You need those educated, those certified strength coaches to lead those athletes, to make sure to hit on those 5 pillars of athletic development, to not do anything the wrong way and injure them. So it's growing in leaps and bounds, and I'm just super excited to see what the future holds, both for the program and for an industry standard in terms of strength and conditioning at the high school level.
Okay, anything else you want to add?
Nothing on my end. Again, I'm extremely fortunate to work at a program that understands the value of strength and conditioning, all the different aspects of it, and how it relates to being an athlete on the field, on the court, on the baseball diamond, anything along those lines. And again, I wouldn't be able to do it without my staff. My assistant, Derek Miller, does a great job. There's so many athletes, and just myself, it would be impossible to make sure they're doing all the correct forms. So having that support staff along with me is so huge. And again, just extremely fortunate to be in the role that I'm in, and very happy to be giving back.
He's the product of your work. He's obviously physically changed, and I'm talking about Derek.
Yes, he has. One of the things I always say is, in this industry, you can be great, you can know everything in the world, but if you can't get your athletes to buy in, they're not going to change, they're not going to develop. Kind of the saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So you have to be able to relate to them, get them to push themselves and bring that intensity level and want to get after it. That's what makes it fun for them. That's what gets those athletes to buy in. Then once you see those changes, you have them hooked. And then once they'll see those differences on the field, it's going to be great. I'm very excited to see how things go this season based off of the new program that we've been doing.
All right, awesome. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.